and wonderful things. I helped open several companies and have made essentially a fortune in 2 companies. And now I have Niman Ranch, and it's so unique you have no idea. I can't wait for us to go public, which will be probably within a year. We started about 7 years ago, 8 years ago. The first year was about $600 or $700, and now it's about 40 million. And but the market is the stock market is a mess, so we're not going to go public until the mess straightens out, which may be within a year or so. Will you explain what you've written about in your plant books? I've written about all of the plants, families, I've been interested in, and collaborated, got the collaboration of all of the world authorities in these plant specialties, and I've made them into reference books, the likes of which you'll never see. Or you'll see, but these are reference books that are not at random. They're all related. For example, I have 10 volumes, I'm working on volume 11 of the Euphorbia Journal on euphorbias. The greenhouse out there that you came through, that's the euphorbia house. They're all mostly euphorbias, but every time I get a cutting and I have it in my hand, I just shove it in the ground, so there are other things other than euphorbias. I'm building another greenhouse next to this, will be on the aloes.
Yeah.
These are major families.
Are euphorbias the ones with the milky white sap?
The milky white sap, yes. These are euphorbias. And this is a house that I don't like to take children into. That's why I have the meadow up and back there. I give children cuttings, but the milky white sap, I found out all about it one day when one of the euphorbias leaked on my neck and down my side, and an hour later I had blisters this big. So they're toxic, but not that, they're not deadly, but they're toxic. So I keep the kids out of that greenhouse. None of the other plants really are particularly toxic. Now, why are succulents important? Do they have any medicinal? Well, a lot of them do. A lot of the euphorbias, a lot of the plants do have medicinal value. It's really a complicated world. There are so many plants that have medicinal values or edible values that after, I'm 83 years old. The other day I was reading about South America, and I discovered a half dozen things that the plants there are producing that I'd never heard of, that the natives were eating. It's a fantastic developing world. It's also it's not only getting more complicated, but it's getting more corrupt, as you will find out. The business world is so corrupt it's unbelievable. But on the other hand, there are lots of innocent nuts like me who are interested in innocent things, and there are worlds and worlds and worlds to develop. Okay, succulents do have medicinal and food value in different parts of the world, and it's difficult to go into detail at this point, but yes, the answer is yes. We save everything here, endangered species. I get cuttings of anything I can and plant them and give away cuttings or break off pieces, that sort of thing. What's the rarest plant you have? That's a difficult thing because I've got lots of rare plants. The rarest plant, I think that the rarest plant I have, it's interesting, I had 3 of them in that room that I collected. It's a succulent that grew at the highest elevation in South Africa, and I brought back some plants, and unfortunately something happened here, and all three of the ones that I had here died, some disease. But I had given specimens to friends of mine all over, and so they all have plants like that. I haven't really recaptured these because that was a point when I was giving them away. It was when I was traveling in Europe a great deal. I had a lot of European friends. Anyway, where do you travel to get these plants? All over the world. All over the world. Africa, South America, India, all over. Every country except Australia. It's really fascinating. I wanted to go to Australia, but it was sort of an isolated bit, and I didn't know anyone in Australia, and I never got around to going to Australia, but I know a lot of people there. For example, Australia has, I don't know whether you know Australia at all, but it's a huge continent. But in the middle of Australia, there's a little town in the center of Australia. One of the doctors at Kaiser came back one day from his vacation and said, "Herman, I was in this little town in the middle of Australia, and I had a little hotel room. It was covered with your wife's paintings." Really fascinating. Anyway, so these are little histories, little stories that are marvelous. Where have you traveled? All over the world. What's your favorite adventure you had while collecting plants? God, so many things.
Well, you could tell several of them.
Hmm?
You could tell several of them if you wanted.
No, let's wait on that.
Okay.
What's the scale of this collection compared to other collections? I think in diversity, this is a more comprehensive collection than 90% of the plants that you see. There are lots of botanical gardens that are financed, enormously, and have a lot of people contributing to it that may have a larger number of species. But there are no botanical gardens that do what I'm doing, except one. There's a botanical garden back east that is starting, and I got a call one day from someone from Madagascar who said, I'm here, and they brought me up here because they're building a greenhouse on euphorbias from Africa. And they brought me up here because I'm the African, expert on euphorbias. And so they used photographs from all of my books, and they're building an incredible greenhouse just on euphorbias, which will be open in about 2 months, and I'm going to be there. Anyway, so this is history. The only problem is that these Eastern companies are so peculiar. Suddenly he disappeared, this friend of mine. They have about 6 other people now who are managing the whole thing. And he's back in Madagascar, which is such a mess now. I wouldn't dare go back to Madagascar now. There are 2 factions trying to take over the country, and there's such a mess you have no idea. Anyway, look, trying to concentrate a little history is really a major problem.